Well, today we're going to talk all about the social subtypes within the Enneagram. And I want to first start out by just defining what the social instinct social subtype looks like in general, and then we'll go specifically number by number. This is 9 in 9 Enneagram Wisdom for Life. Let's dive in. So let's start with what it's not. The social instinct is not simply about being an extrovert, although it's common for socially dominant people to be extroverts. That's not what this is. It's much deeper than that. It's about belonging, and it's about having an innate understanding of where you belong within a group and understanding the hierarchy within that group. So kind of understanding this is how I belong here, this is my role here, and having a constant awareness of that. People with the socially dominant instinct really value involvement and collaboration with other people towards a common purpose. And they have a deep desire to be seen, to be recognized, to seek the approval of other people, and to really, really have a security within a group of people. Now, remember, as you're listening, I really want you to be thinking about, is this my dominant instinct, or is this my supporting instinct, or is this my weakest instinct? And so as a little guide, as you're listening, you might be a socially dominant person if you have a thought of, I need to be important. You might be a socially repressed or socially weak instinct if you have the thought of, I can't trust groups of people. I can't trust causes or collectives or any type of organized grouping out in the world. If you can't trust those people, then that could mean that social is at the bottom of your instinct stack. Okay, so let's dive in. And as we do, I want to remind you that if you want to have all of this information about subtypes all in one place, I have a masterclass where I taught all of the information and more. And I've decided to just put it on sale for anybody that's listening to the podcast. You can go to the show notes and you'll be connected to that masterclass for just $49. You'll have it all in one place and all of the worksheets. Okay, so let's get going. What does it look like to be a socially dominant person within each of the numbers? And I'm going to start with the thinking triad. So we're going to start with number 5. The motivation is to be competent and independent. And the passion of the 5 is avarice, which means like hoarding of information. So when this motivation and passion intersect with a social dominant instinct, this means that this type of a 5 becomes very talkative and engaging, and they love to be in groups of people that have a common interest. They like to talk about their particular area of expertise with other people. When we're talking about a socially dominant Enneagram 6, remember, they want to experience security, and they're dealing with the passion of fear. And so a social 6 tends to be a little more of an intellectual type. They see things in black and white and don't like ambiguity. They're also going to deal with their fear through learning and really leaning into having an external authority to lead the way. So they're constantly trying to do their duty according to some type of external authority figure. For a type 7, the motivation is to be happy and avoid pain, and the passion is excess or gluttony. Now, the social 7 is what we call the counter type of the 7s, which means this is the type of 7 that doesn't always look and act like a 7. In fact, a social 7 is often mistyped as an Enneagram 2, and here's why. Because they go against the desire to be self-indulgent, and they turn that towards taking care of other people. So they put other people's pains and needs and helping other people. They put all of their energy into others, and they often then sacrifice their own needs in the name of being a good person. So this is a 7, but often looks like a 2. Okay, let's talk about the social instinct now in the gut triad, the 8, the 9, and the 1. So 4 and 8, remember the motivation is to not be controlled, and they're dealing with a lust for intensity. Now, the social 8 is also a counter type, and this can end up looking a little more like a 2 or a 9. And it is because the 8, that is a social 8, will use their strength and use their power and use that excess energy to protect other people. And they are very intense and very driven in areas of social justice and helping other people above themselves. For the Enneagram 9, the motivation is to be unaffected through harmonization, and the passion is merging. And this makes sense. A social 9 then is merging with groups of people, with their teams, their families, their workplace. This is another counter type, meaning that this 9 can sometimes look more like a 2 or a 3 because they have the most energy of all the 9s. They get a lot done. And, they are very hard workers, excellent leaders and mediators. For the 1, the motivation is to improve or reform the world, and they're dealing with irritation and anger. The social 1 will channel that anger into figuring out what is the right way to do things. They will then expect everyone around them to do it the right way. In a sense, these Enneagram 1s sort of feel like they own and they alone know the right way to do things, and then put that expectation on the people around them in their life. Okay, now we're going to move on to the heart triad. The social 2 is the everybody's friend. They typically tend to be powerful people, excellent leaders, and you can really see the pride in a social 2 because they stay close to important people, and they might be ones that tend to name drop a little more often than necessary. Also, in that social 2, they tend to be a little more strategic with their helping and their serving. The social Enneagram 3 is the one that's going to be the most adept at image crafting, on showing up and becoming the person that they think you want them or expect them to be. And so they are typically very skilled at influence and climbing any kind of corporate or social ladder. Social 3s are very aggressive, ambitious, and they really strive for top-level positions and prestige. The Enneagram 4 is motivated to be seen and understood, and the passion of the 4 is envy. So for the social 4, this tends to be the most sensitive or dramatic of the 4s because that envy is always in action in groups, and it's feeding a sense of inferiority, a sense of negative self-talk. And so this can become a very sad 4. The sadness or the suffering makes the 4 feel special and unique. And of course, as a social 4, this 4 wants others to join them in their sadness. Now, I know that was a quick rundown of the numbers within the social subtyping, but if you think this might be your dominant number, then I have a word of caution or advice for you, and that is to be very aware that when you are interacting in groups, which is very easy for a person with a social subtype, group settings are pretty natural. But be aware that sometimes a social instinct will be able to interact without ever going to a level of intimacy or vulnerability. And that's an area for growth for everyone with a socially dominant instinct. Now, if you feel like social instinct might be your weakest instinct, then my encouragement to you is to use that muscle and to build your social instinct up. And you can do that by putting yourself in a few more social situations, maybe even inviting a group to dinner or out to do something fun. Hey, did you know that I have an entire masterclass on instincts and subtypes? If you want a lot more information, a little bit more depth, and have it all in one place, click on the show notes, and I've got it on sale for anybody listening to the podcast for $49.